So, babe, one thing I was reading an article today about moving away, either moving away from your hometown, and is it beneficial? Is it good? Is it exciting? All the things about moving away from your hometown. So, we both have experience. You recently have new experience. So, just a general thought process of moving from Richmond to where we are now, how would you agree with that statement? Moving is good, or would you say moving is bad, or how would you interpret moving?
As far as agreeing with that statement, I 100% agree that moving is good. I think that everybody should break away from where they grew up at some point in their life. Now, whether you choose to go back after you break away is up to you, but you need the experience of moving away from where you grew up. Move away from your parents, move away from all things that are familiar so that you can figure out who you are, figure out what you like and what you don't like, figure out, what type of people you want in your life, because you don't really know that if you surrounding yourself by the same stuff for your whole life. It can almost, in my opinion, make you feel stuck and
Mm-hmm.
stagnant and almost afraid to like branch out and experience more. So I'm happy I moved up out of Richmond and I do not plan on going back. Ever.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree. I think, I moved a couple of times. So I think
I feel like for
moving
guys it's easier though.
potentially, potentially. Um, I think that moving, you figure out who you are when you move. Because I feel like when you are in a place, and it's not necessarily you figure out who you are, but you also can figure out who you want yourself to be. Because when you're moving to a place where nobody knows you, nobody's has met you, nobody knows that, oh, I know your parents or I know your siblings, you're just brand new. And I think it challenges you to really find yourself and who you are. Like, you could be a social butterfly in your hometown, but when you're around strangers, are you a social butterfly, or
Hmm.
are you just a social butterfly because you know every single person in your hometown?
That's fair. Yeah, I think you have to get uncomfortable and kind of like change your scenery and change your surroundings to figure out either who you are or who you want to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could do that surrounded by the neighbor that knew you since you was two,
Mm-hmm.
or just the same old people. And in the same breath, a lot of the people that you grow up with, like in your hometown, um, everybody be doing different stuff, and then it's like you realize, for the most part, ain't nobody doing nothing. Like if you look around, you like, oh, you got a handful of people that went off to college, you got a handful of people that just started like making businesses and having
Mhm.
careers and making money. And then you got a handful of people that literally ain't doing nothing. So
Mhm.
like how we talked about like cleaning out your social media and
Mhm.
doing all of those things. I feel like the only way you'll have the clarity to know what you need to clean out of your life is by taking a step away. It don't
Yeah.
and it don't even gotta be like 5 hours away across the country or nothing like that. Like
Yeah. No, I
two
think.
hours, hour and a
Yeah.
half might be far enough.
Yep.
Even though I want to go farther from Richmond more than an hour and a half,
hmm
but
But yeah. No, I think a lot of adults, young adults that we struggle, like that we know that struggle with, like a lot of young adults struggle with, like, like finding themselves and just drama and all these things. But I think that when you do move away from your hometown,
mm,
you see there's so much more to the world as well. Like you see that I can try to be this person, or I can try this job, or I mean, I know a man may be a little different, but I mean, you go to the go out to eat by yourself. You may go
hmm
to the movies by yourself.
yeah,
There's a lot of things you learn to do by yourself because you don't know anybody, and then you
yeah,
kind of have to put yourself out there and join little clubs and stuff because it it you got to meet people. It's like
you got network,
you're
yeah.
either gonna be by yourself.
I felt like I was just thinking something and I lost my train of thought. um, oh, I was gonna say like with moving and being like brand new and nobody knows you, especially on a job.
hmm
I feel like strangers can see your potential more than the
hmm
people that you've been surrounding yourself with for years.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the same breath, some people that you surround yourself with for years can see your potential, but they may not want you to reach that potential because they feel like it might dim their light or they might
hmm
be jealous or whatever. But strangers will push you, they will hype you up, they will tell you try this, go over here, do this, oh this might be great for you. They're so excited to almost like pour into you, whereas I feel like if you have that same circle or you living in that same city, you're not really gonna get much of that.
hmm
Like you just not. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I think that strangers, yeah, because strangers don't know you. So
Mhm.
they're just trying to get to know you, where
Mhm.
your hometown may just they know you. Like they're like, "Oh." And like you said, they may not want you to change because if you change, that may change their whole environment.
Mhm.
But I think
Because
that
other people sometimes don't want to be pushed to change.
mhm. Yep. Yep. Nah. And I also think moving grows you up because I think when you're away from your comfort zone, like not only do you have to realize you have to learn how to like really be independent. Like not because I feel like there's two versions of independent. There's independent when you know your friends or mom and dad is like 20 minutes away. But if you're by yourself in a city and you like even simple stuff like, oh, um, you're trying to get furniture and you got to figure out how is it going to get to your house if you don't want it delivered. Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, I need to figure out how to run it. It's just, you kind of learn a lot of life skills when you do live by yourself or move away because it grows you up and you learn like things that you can learn like, oh, well, I know how to get in contact with a contractor, or I know what to do with this, with a car, because you're forced to. You're
Yeah.
forced to do
Well,
everything by
I
yourself.
think that's more of a man thing because a woman, regardless of how far you move, you go call somebody you familiar with and see if they can figure it out. Like, Daddy, how am I supposed to do this? Uncle or whatever. But from my experience, because I didn't move away until I was married,
Mhm.
I didn't have to do that. Babe, what we gonna do? You gonna call this? You gonna do that? But it's still like beauty in all of it.
Mhm.
Like even us having moved away from Richmond in my adult years and that being my first time moving away from my mom, it was just rewarding. Just even the process of moving,
Mhm.
I grew and evolved and changed and learned so much. And
Yeah.
I also think because we're married and that transition happened then, I feel like it kind of made our relationship stronger because we
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
rely on each other.
Yep.
There wasn't anybody that, you know, we could just call and say, hey, can you do this or can you do that?
Mhm.
And I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that is, I think you bring up a good point, because when you do move married, it does bring you closer because you're all you got, really.
Hmm.
But I think you're both at a vulnerable spot to where you're willing to try anything. So it's like, when you're in your comfort zone, it may be a lot of like, hey, babe, you want to join this group? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. But when you're out by yourself, you're like, well, yeah, let's do it. So you kind of going on all these different journeys together, which is just going to make you stronger.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
yeah.
kind of exciting. Like it's different doing stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of things I've done independently in my life as far as moving and whatever, but doing it with somebody is
Hmm.
completely different. Like it's nerve wracking, but it's exciting. And then, sitting down in your new place, whether it's an apartment or a house or whatever, you just feel that much more satisfaction. One, because you got somebody to celebrate with. Like, babe, we did that. Like, what we about to eat tonight or whatever. But it's just, I think everybody needs to experience that, even if it's just for a month. My dream would be to like live out of the country for like a year or two off the grid. Obviously, when the boys get older, but no, we might could do it while they're young too, so they can like experience different stuff. But that is my dream. Like, let's move to Dominican Republic or Ghana or Africa or something for like a year. Am I pushing it?
A little bit. But yeah, no, I think too is when you move, is so many, it just changes your perspective. You appreciate, it could do a number of things. Because one, I think I'll say, like, moving, you grow, you mature, but also you appreciate support. Because you know
Hmm.
what support, like, you kind of know who's still with you when you move.
Mm,
Because when you move, you can kind of tell, like,
that's facts.
oh, well, when you're convenient, a lot more people keep in contact. But when you
Hmm.
move, it's like, oh, it's, you got to put intentions, like, you're not gonna see us until we visit or you visit. So are you still gonna keep in contact? Because now it
It's
may
not
go from
convenient
like
anymore.
once a week to maybe once every 3 months or something, or once a year. Is the relationship worth valuing?
Right. That's true. Because I think moving for me personally helped me realize me and you are our strongest support system.
Hmm.
We all we got, man. We all we got. No,
Hmm.
I'm just playing, but that did help me realize you do recognize like who is genuinely there for you and who is not. It kind of helps you weed out stuff and
Hmm.
categorize and prioritize things, but there's also beauty in it too. Like there's beauty in creating your own support system when you're in your hometown and you relying on your auntie and your cousin and your mom and the lady around the corner, you kind of somewhat can become codependent. And
Mm-hmm. Yep.
in the real world, everything is not convenient. It's just not. So I think us creating our own support system from scratch, although it was stressful, it was rewarding.
Yeah.
Because now we got, two or three solid people that we know gonna come through, or we know,
Mm-hmm.
like we creating your own support system versus using a support system that was given to you by default because it's your family
Yeah.
or your auntie's cousin's grandma who told you to talk to that person's neighbor. It's completely different. And I feel like when you create your own support system, there's more loyalty, believe it or not. There's more consistency, and the village just feels different. Whereas when it's family or whatever, it is about, oh, it's not convenient for me to keep them or whatever. So I think creating your own support system is dope too. Stressful
Mm-hmm.
at first, but it's like super dope.
And I think even too, like on the flip side, you do realize who don't care, but you also can get really close to some of your friends from back
Mhm.
home. Like
Mhm.
you can realize how close some of those relationships you had back home, how close they really are.
Mhm.
Because it's like it only got stronger. And it's like when you got friends that are like, what y'all doing this weekend? We gonna ride down and all this stuff. That shows you how
Shout
important
out to the Draytons. Shout out to the Draytons.
how important like those relationships are, and then you grow and you start planning more trips with each other. And
Family trips, couples
yeah,
trips,
and I think
yeah.
too, you when you do move, you travel more. You're not really afraid to
Oh
travel.
yeah,
Because I think
yeah.
in your hometown, you get comfortable, you plan a big trip, but you don't go. But I think when you move, if you're not moving to a big city, you're like, oh,
What are we doing this
well,
weekend?
we need to travel here because,
Yeah, we quick to hop in our van with the boys and the dog and be out. Like no
yeah,
questions
I mean,
asked.
you definitely travel more, and I think you learn like meeting people, because I think everybody kind of has like I said, if it's not a big city, it's like, oh, everybody's weird out here, or everybody's goofy, or whatever. But then it's like, then you get to a point where you're like, well, I live here. It's a
Let's give it a
challenge.
chance. Yeah.
It's a challenge, and you grow, but also, like I said, going back to the travel, it makes you want to explore other cultures too. Like
Hmm.
you see, oh, they act different than they do where I'm from, but how do people act in this city? So let's go
Hmm.
there and see how they act, or see
You
how they
just pick
carry themselves.
different things to like hone in on, and
Hmm.
you roll with it. Like we might be like, man, I'm sick of eating the same food. We're gonna go
Yeah,
to such and such this weekend and try different restaurants all weekend until we get back home. Or, you know, like in Richmond, they have First Friday
yeah,
where
yeah,
everybody's out on the streets shopping and doing whatever. And when we got here not too long ago, I was like, do they have First Fridays here? Like they don't, but that kind of triggered us to look at more things to
yeah.
do.
Yep. And I think you appreciate the locals, like the
Hmm.
local businesses and stuff.
The
Like,
local businesses out here
yeah.
are amazing. It's like a whole
It's
little
like, yeah,
community.
you start clinging to the local businesses because you
The locals are more considerate, they're more
uh,
passionate, they're more
yeah, I mean
caring.
they care about the city, and it's
Hmm.
like you're kind of looking for that home away from home, and it's like that's something else, like growing that village and just growing yourself, because it's like even food, like you might eat a certain kind of food in your hometown that you're like if you think about it, most people don't even know about as much as their hometown than somebody who's moved there. Like
Hmm.
people who move to your hometown may be like, oh yeah, I love the local this, local that, but you just go to,
Oh, I didn't even know about
I know, you just go
that.
to the same places you gone to your whole life.
Yeah, because now that we don't live in Richmond anymore, we know about all the things popping up and
Hmm.
what's
I
going
mean,
on.
when you're from Richmond, and
I'm
I
not from
moved,
Richmond. I'm from Jersey. He keep getting it
and I
twisted.
moved to
I'm
Richmond.
not from
So
Richmond.
even when we met, it was like stuff I was telling you about that you was like,
That's because I stayed in Chester, my little town. I didn't know anything about Richmond, nothing about downtown. I never even went to downtown Richmond until after I graduated high school, I think. And even then, that was only a couple times.
yeah, yeah,
So even in your own city, you don't even really, like you said, know what's
yeah.
around. I didn't know how to get
Hmm.
around downtown Richmond. Was having anxiety every time I had to go down there.
Yeah, I mean it's just you're you grow. You definitely grow. Um, do you think would you say is it can everybody do it? Like can everybody move or is it more so like you think certain people are more built
I
for it?
think everybody is capable, but I don't think everybody is willing because I think um, it's going to have to be mind over matter or the opposite, whatever. Like if you have a lot of anxiety or something, you might let your anxiety paralyze you to the point where
Hmm.
you're staying exactly where you're at because you're
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
And that is like a issue. Some people genuinely cannot fight it, They so is everybody capable? Yes. Is everybody willing? No, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I think that's why I wanted to go away for college. And then when that never happened, I just kind of got complacent.
Yeah, I mean, and this may be a topic for another day, but I think college is a part of that moving
Mm,
as well, because I think a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but moving away in college, if you're moving like more than, I'll even say just an hour, you don't have to be far,
no,
but
just away from
far
where you
enough
grew
to
up.
where it's inconvenient for you just to keep going home all the time. And it's like, I think like with college, you're forced to kind of do those same things. It's a little more prepared. Like college provides stuff for you, so you don't
Hmm.
have to like drive
Branch
across
out,
town to
yeah.
meet people. They're right in your dorms and stuff. But I will say that growth is part of it is being away from home.
Yeah, I agree. And I
Yeah.
think like even if you don't go to college, which will be another topic, but go away and do something. Go
Yeah.
away and do a trade school. Go away into the military. Go away and
Yep.
just move somewhere. Apply for a job at a random place in a different state or in a different
Hmm.
county or city or whatever and go try it out for like a few months. You
Yeah.
never know what can come of that. Like everybody should do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
I don't know if I would feel differently though if we had a girl. I would I want her to go leave and like I just feel like it's different for guys and
I
girls.
mean,
I'm thinking in a sense of what I want the boys to do.
I think it is a difference, but yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of
Maybe it's
differences.
situational.
I mean, but
But even for
it
women, I
doesn't
think it's
mean
important
women,
too.
yeah, women
Yeah.
can, I mean, I
Just be
don't,
careful, be
it's
safe.
just, they have to be a little more, cautious.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it is. I need to
That's the
let me
biggest,
clarify. Don't just go out here all willy nilly. Make sure you being safe,
yeah, it's just
ladies.
women have to be a little more cautious.
Yeah.
But,
Because if we didn't get married, I'd probably still be in Richmond. Looking crazy. Still scared to drive downtown.
uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah. No, but yeah, that I think that does make a little bit of a difference. But I mean, for the most part, it's just you really grow. You see who
you
you
do
are.
grow. You definitely grow.
You know what kind of person you are. You should learn what kind of person you are. And it's not even like you gotta go like.
Oh, major key. It teaches you how to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you move, whether you're married or single, if you move away from home, it teaches you how to be alone. And I think that's a lot of the issue
Problems,
in
yeah.
today's society. People don't know how to be alone. People don't know how to take the time to figure out who they are. And when you move or whatever, you don't have no choice but to take the time
Yeah.
to figure it out, because you in your house or apartment, when you get off work, just looking around. Do you like to read? What are you into? Do you want to work out? Do you want to take a class?
Yeah.
Do you want to teach a class? Do you want to cook? Like, you didn't know how to cook when you moved out. You had to learn how to cook, a good seasoned meal until you moved out and explored. And, it's just things that you learn that are important, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think yeah, like you say, your interests, like I picked up on a lot of different podcasts and things when I moved, and it was
Yeah.
like,
Well, what did I pick up on? Like, you moved away from home single, but I'm trying to think, like, for a married person, what is it that you, excuse me,
I
obviously I
mean,
started
working
working
out.
out,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna say the working out,
finished college,
but yeah,
you
work.
know,
I would say working out, like you, yeah,
exploring
working out.
different jobs be scary too. I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have still been at the same company I had worked at
Mm-hmm.
for 9 years.
Yeah, I mean, it just challenge you. Everything's an opportunity.
Yeah, it is a lot of opportunities when you spread those wings, for
Yeah.
sure.
You have
So,
any final words about moving?
grab the bull by the horns. Is that the right?
I don't even know what you're talking
Get
about.
out there and do it. Take the leap. Jump. If you've been contemplating, pondering, or considering moving, do it. I'm here to tell you, this is a sign. Do it.
Yeah.
Pick a point on a mat. Whatever you touch, go ahead. Whatever you got to do, take that leap. It's going to change your
Do
life.
it till you have kids. Then when you have kids, move back home. I'm just kidding.
That's not, no. Move
No, but
somewhere where you
that'll
have
be
a good.
we'll do a part two. This was more moving, but I guess our part two we'll do is it ain't all good. There is a lot of struggling, especially when you have kids.
Especially when you got them kids.
Especially when you have kids, it's challenging. But we'll do a part two. This was the positive one.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.